Hello, hello. Back in high school and college, I was always the big guy, weighing around 250 pounds. As part of the football team, my size came in handy. But during my junior year, a serious knee injury ended my football career. That was the end of my athletic days. I shifted my focus to academics, worked hard, and earned my degree in accounting. I never looked back. My name's Nolan, and now I'm an accountant. Life was good, or so I thought. I was making a lot of money, owned a nice home, and had a beautiful wife who, I believed, loved me. But here's the issue. Remember my weight from my playing days? Well, by the time I hit 35, I wasn't just big. I had ballooned to almost 430 pounds. I was practically a walking heart attack. It was only a matter of time before something serious happened. Lately, my wife, Talia, had been urging me to do something about my weight. I tried a few diets and fitness plans she suggested, but none of them stuck. I even cut out carbs, but all I did was replace them with a ton of meat, which only made things worse. I was eating like an entire herd of cows, and not surprisingly, I kept gaining weight. My blood pressure was through the roof from all the red meat I consumed. Then one night, things took a turn. Talia and I were being intimate, and I collapsed right on top of her. She couldn't breathe with my weight crushing her, and from there, the situation spiraled downhill. We ended up arguing, again, about my size. That's when she hit me with an ultimatum. No more intimacy until I lost at least 50 pounds. That night, I slept in the guest room. I left early for work the next morning, hoping it would blow over like our usual arguments, but this one didn't. When I came home, Talia had found me a weight loss boot camp online. It was a month-long program. She said it was the best option for me, adding that she was tired of being married to the fattest guy in the neighborhood. She even admitted that it was embarrassing for her. I skimmed through the brochure she had printed and, without thinking too much, called the camp. I paid for it on the spot and arranged to leave as soon as possible. Talia asked if I was serious about going, but I didn't say much. I headed to the bedroom to pack my clothes and a few things. "It'll be good for you to lose some weight," she said. "You'll be healthier and the month will fly by. I'll call you every day." On my way back to the guest room, she asked, "Why are you sleeping in there? We're not mad at each other anymore." I reminded her, "You said no intimacy until I lose 50 pounds. She sighed. "I didn't mean it like that. I was just upset." Maybe she realized she'd hurt me, but getting away from home for a bit seemed like a solid plan at the time. Over the next few days, I let my workplace know I'd be traveling for a while, but assured them I'd still be working remotely. On the day of my departure, I packed up, drove to the airport, and flew to Tucson, Arizona, ready to start the camp in the desert's dry heat. The first 3 weeks at the camp didn't go too well. I spent most of the first week setting up my computer and internet to keep up with work. By the second week, I started paying attention to what was happening around me, though I wasn't exactly participating. Mostly, I just watched others work out and laughed at some of the ridiculous things they had us doing. When it came to meals, I treated the camp food as appetizers and ordered burgers or pizzas to be delivered. The delivery guys quickly figured out they could earn bigger tips by dropping the food off at the access road where the campers jogged. So, after almost 3 weeks, how much weight had I lost? -6 pounds. That's right, I had gained 6 pounds. But everything changed when I got a message from an old friend of mine, Finn. Finn had recently gone through a nasty divorce and was slowly getting back on his feet. He wasn't looking for anything serious, just some fun. He texted me saying he'd been out at a club with a woman far younger than him and thought he saw Talia there with another guy. He approached her, and sure enough, it was her. She was out with some guy he didn't recognize, and they were all over each other. Finn even snapped a few pictures, knowing I wouldn't believe him otherwise. And when I saw the pictures, I knew he was telling the truth. It was Talia, and the necklace she was wearing was the custom piece I had made for her during our trip to Mexico last year. That text flipped everything upside down for me. My reasons for being at the camp completely changed. The next day, I spent a lot of time reflecting on my life, figuring out what needed to change. I had a good life, but clearly some things were off. One major thing I needed to address was my weight and how I viewed myself. Everything else could wait until I handled that. The following morning, I went straight to the camp office and signed up for their 3-month intensive program, reserved for people who were dangerously overweight. This time, I wasn't messing around. That morning, I joined one of the training groups for a walk through the desert, just a simple 2-mile walk at a slow pace to boost our metabolism before breakfast. I laughed at how ridiculous it seemed because back in my football days, I could run 4 miles without breaking a sweat. But that walk humbled me. I struggled to keep up, and toward the end, I fell behind. Even a couple of 50-year-old women passed me, offering words of encouragement as they pulled ahead. When I finally made it back to camp, I was drenched in sweat, and my knee, the one that hadn't been injured, was aching. I limped into the cafeteria, and the group of people I had befriended looked shocked to see me in that state. They were all just as much slackers as I had been. I didn't join them. I found a small table in the back and sat alone. I realized that if I was going to make real changes, I couldn't afford any negative influences around me. For breakfast, I had a small glass of orange juice, a slice of toast, some fruit, and 2 strips of turkey bacon. I was still starving, but this time, I was determined. After breakfast, we had an hour of free time before our first workshop, and I used that time to hire a private investigator. I needed to know the truth about Talia, how far things had gone with this guy, and if there had been others. I still loved her, and part of me could understand why she might be going through this. Depending on how deep this affair ran, there was a chance we could still work things out. But first, I needed the truth. As I headed to the workshop that day, something clicked. I actually listened this time. The speakers were former campers who had shed a significant amount of weight and, more importantly, kept it off. Their stories were inspiring, with each of them talking about how they'd struggled for years until something or someone gave them the push they needed. It was a single incident or person that helped them focus and make lasting changes. I realized that discovering Talia's betrayal was my own turning point. But I wasn't changing for her. I was doing this for myself. Back in high school and college, I always had women interested in me, and since then, I had Talia. I never really had to reflect on myself or think about making changes. But the idea of losing her made me see that I needed to do something differently, for my own good. Not long after the workshop ended, my phone rang. It was Talia, making her usual daily call. I hadn't spoken to her in the last 2 days since Finn had sent me those pictures. I was too hurt to even think about talking to her. "Hi, honey. Where have you been? I've missed you," she greeted me, sounding cheerful. I told her, "I've been trying to juggle work and lose weight. It's been tough." "Well, don't worry," she replied. "You'll be home in 2 days, and it'll all be over." But I wasn't going to let this go. "No, Talia, I haven't lost 50 pounds yet, so I'm not coming home." She paused before saying, "Nolan, that was just a random number I threw out when I was mad. I miss you. Come home. I don't care if you've only lost 2 pounds. I got what I wanted. You're trying, and that's all that matters. You can lose the rest of the weight at home." Her words lingered in my mind. Got what I wanted? What she really meant was, got who I wanted, and that stung, but I kept my voice steady. "No, Talia, a deal's a deal. I'm staying until I've lost at least 50 pounds, maybe more." She tried to reason with me. "Don't be so stubborn. You can lose the weight at home. I've been thinking, and I really want you to come back." I wasn't backing down. "My mind's made up," I told her. "It's hard enough balancing work and trying to lose weight without fully committing to this camp. We'll have to cut back on calls until I'm done. I'm doing this for both of us. I don't want you to be embarrassed by me anymore. I get it now. How hard it must have been for you, being seen with some fat slob just because he loved you." She sounded apologetic. "I never should have said that. I was just angry." But I was done with the conversation. I hung up, changed into sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and headed for the morning exercise class. This time, I positioned myself at the front of the line. I wasn't hiding anymore. The trainer that day was Eva, a no-nonsense kind of person who hadn't said a word to me since I arrived. I'd caught her sneering at me a few times, but she never spoke. As I stood in the front row, she shot me a look that said she wished she could push me to the back, just so she wouldn't have to see me. We started with basic stretches, and while most people could touch their toes, I struggled to even reach my knees. I was already sweating, and we hadn't even begun the real workout. Then, the real humiliation began. We started with leg lifts, easy enough for most people, but lifting my knees to waist height felt like moving mountains. By the time we finished, I was drenched, and Eva looked at me with an amused, almost mocking grin. Next came arm lifts, and she pushed us hard. I kept going long after my arms felt like they were going to fall off. When we hit the floor for push-ups, it was another disaster. Years ago, I could bench press over 200 pounds, but that day, I couldn't even manage a single push-up. I tried one from a standing position, managed to get through it, but collapsed right after. Eva's smug expression followed me as I left the gym to shower before lunch. That afternoon, I had my knee checked out at the clinic. The doctor said it was a minor strain, probably from pushing the joint harder than it had been used to in years. They wrapped it up and told me to take it easy for a couple of days, but I could still walk on it. That routine became my life for the next week. I ate only the meals they served, skipped dessert, and avoided snacks unless I was absolutely starving. Those first 5 days were pure hell. I knew I was the butt of a few jokes and a lot of laughter, and frankly, after my first 3 weeks of slacking off, I probably deserved it. But I was proud of myself. By the end of that week, I had lost 8 pounds. At the same time, I got the first report from the private investigator. The pictures he sent confirmed everything Finn had told me, and more. There were shots of Talia at a restaurant with the guy, a recorded conversation between them, pictures of them entering a motel room together. From the amount of time they spent there, it was obvious what was happening. Oddly enough, the cheating didn't hurt as much as the things she said about me behind my back. In the conversation, the guy asked her what had made her finally give him a chance, after months of him pursuing her. That was news to me. I had no idea he'd been after her for that long. She told him she was tired of being embarrassed by me, that I wasn't in shape to satisfy her anymore, and that she sent me off to camp so she could try out a real man. Hearing her words hit harder than anything else. Then she asked him how he kept their affair hidden from his wife. His answer? Like you, I wear the pants in my family. My wife doesn't question me. That was it for me. Any hope I had of saving our marriage was gone. From that moment, my focus shifted. During my second week of serious training, I picked up the pace on my morning walks, started swimming laps in the afternoons, and even tried new activities like archery and fencing. I needed new hobbies to keep me occupied once I left the camp, and I hired a divorce lawyer. I filled him in on everything and arranged for him to receive updates from the PI as the investigation continued. I asked him to prepare the divorce papers, even though I wasn't sure when I'd be done at the camp. By the end of my first month of real effort, I was a different man. I'd dropped nearly 40 pounds and felt better than I had in years. My routine had changed too. Instead of just walking, I jogged 3 miles every morning. I still went to Eva's classes, but now she didn't seem to look down on me. In fact, she started smiling and greeting me each morning. One day, while I was in the middle of a set of 15 push-ups, I felt extra weight on my back. I pushed through it and managed to complete another push-up, only to look up and see Eva pressing down on me, adding resistance. I was handling my work from the camp as well, and during my meditation sessions, I made a list of friends and colleagues. Instead of focusing on weight loss, I reflected on those relationships. I realized that many of the people in my life hadn't been laughing with me about my weight. They'd been laughing at me. By the 6-week mark, I hit a plateau. I'd lost over 60 pounds, but the weight was coming off much more slowly. I remembered how, back in school, my coach would push us with 2-a-day workouts if we were out of shape, so I added a second, more challenging run to my routine. I was older, and my knee wouldn't let me run the way I used to, but I enjoyed it. Sometimes, I'd hit the gym afterward to lift weights, though I had to take it slow. It was embarrassing at first. After years of bragging about my 200-pound bench presses, I struggled to lift 100 pounds. Progress wasn't linear. Some days I could lift, other days I couldn't. My knee limited me from doing heavy leg exercises, and my back was weaker than I'd realized. But I was improving, little by little. The pain in my heart wasn't going away. It lingered, no matter how hard I tried to focus on my workouts. One evening, I found myself trying to bench 170 pounds. The first rep went up without much trouble, but I struggled with the second. Common sense should have told me to stop there, but in my emotional state, rational thinking wasn't exactly my strong suit. I attempted a third rep, and halfway up, the bar suddenly felt impossibly heavy. No matter how hard I pushed, I couldn't get it back up. Just as I was about to figure out how to escape from under the weight, I felt someone grab the bar, and together, we managed to rack it. "Real smart move, Nolan," came Eva's voice, dripping with sarcasm. "You barely made the second rep, so what made you think you could get a third? Did you know it's against camp policy to be in the weight room alone? Maybe now you understand why." I mumbled, "It won't happen again. and thanks for saving me. I'm sure it'll just be another story for you to tell about the fat guy who needed help." She didn't respond as I left, and if she had anything more to say, she kept it to herself. The next morning, I felt restless. After breakfast, I poked my head into a few of the workout rooms, looking for something new. There was a yoga class going on in one room and a Pilates group in another, but neither really grabbed my interest. Then, I saw a step aerobics class. It seemed like fun, and there were mostly women in the group. I was about to head in when I heard a voice behind me. "I'll be hurt if you go in there, Nolan," Eva said. I turned to see her standing there, dressed in her usual workout gear, staring at me intensely. "For today, why don't you come to my class like usual? Then afterward, I'd like to talk. Tomorrow, you can try something new if you want." She extended her hand, and I hesitated for a second before nodding and taking it. We returned to her workout room and went through the usual routine. After class, she told me, "Take a shower and meet me back here." 30 minutes later, I stood outside the room, waiting for her. I figured she wanted to lecture me about working out alone, the camp's safety rules, or maybe even threaten to report me. Whatever it was, it couldn't make me feel worse than the news I'd gotten earlier that morning. My private investigator had called to tell me that Talia had brought her lover to our home last night. He had stayed the night. I was still trying to wrap my head around how to handle that when Eva showed up, snapping my focus back to the present. Eva, despite her tough exterior, is petite, probably about 5'2", with jet black hair and sharp gray eyes. There's something mesmerizing about the way she turns to look at you over her shoulder, with her hair partly covering one eye. It's like that single eye can see straight through you, judging whether you can push yourself further. Her chest, while not overly large, definitely draws attention, especially from the guys in her class. They all push through her grueling sessions just for a chance to ogle her. And then there's her backside, not huge, but tight and firm. You could probably bounce a quarter off it. There were rumors around the camp that she was a lesbian, but that didn't stop her classes from being packed. When she showed up this time, she looked different. Instead of her usual tight workout clothes, she wore a loose sweatshirt, jeans, and big sunglasses. Her hair was pinned up, and she seemed more casual, more human, maybe even vulnerable. It was a side of her I'd never seen before, and it took me by surprise. She smiled softly and motioned toward the exit. "Relax, Nolan. You're not in trouble," she reassured me. "I just want to talk. When I need to clear my head, I usually take my Jeep out into the desert. It helps me put things into perspective. Maybe it's just stress relief, but it always works. And whether you realize it or not, you've become a problem for me." My heart sank at that. Great, another problem I didn't need. As if I didn't already have enough to deal with, now I was causing issues for her too. She led me out to the staff parking lot, where she hopped into a black Jeep Wrangler. I climbed in, barely shutting the door before she peeled out of the lot. After a few minutes on the highway, she veered off onto an unmarked dirt road. We weaved through scattered trees and bushes until the vegetation disappeared entirely, leaving nothing but desert stretching to the horizon. She shifted into four-wheel drive and slowed down a bit as we bounced along the uneven road. Eventually, we arrived at the edge of a canyon. She pulled the Jeep to a stop, got out, and walked over to the edge, looking out at the vast, arid landscape. She stood there for a moment, gathering her thoughts, before turning to me. "Nolan, what the hell is going on with you?" she asked, her eyes locking onto mine. "When you first got here, I thought you were just another spoiled, overweight rich guy who didn't take this place seriously. You'd sit through your conference calls, sneak in late-night pizza deliveries, and hang out with the class clowns. We see guys like that all the time. You come here, lose a few pounds, then go home and brag about how tough camp was. Some even come back every year to do it all over again." She paused, her expression softening slightly. But then something changed. I don't know what it was, but one day, you were different. That first morning you stood at the front of my class, I didn't think you'd last 10 minutes. In fact, I tried to get rid of you. But you stuck it out, gave it everything you had, and left drenched in sweat. I was intrigued. And since then, I've watched you transform, both physically and mentally. You've lost an incredible amount of weight, and you're in great shape now. You don't even look like the same guy who walked through those doors. I never saw it coming, but Eva's words hit me like a backhanded compliment. It was unexpected, especially coming from her. She continued, "You probably don't realize this, but when you started changing, I did too. At first, I was convinced you wouldn't last, but soon enough, I became your biggest supporter. I noticed your late-night desert runs, and even watched you lifting weights by yourself at night. That's why I was there the other evening when you overdid it. Most people who've lost half the weight you have would be happy by now, even if they weren't in the shape you're in. They feel fulfilled, proud, more confident. You'll probably get several awards at the ceremony next month, but don't tell anyone I said that. The thing is, Nolan, you don't seem happy at all. In fact, it's the opposite. You came here confident and secure, maybe a little angry, but still content with your life. Now, after all your progress, you're more withdrawn, and it's making me sad too. You used to hang out with the other clowns in the back and laugh. Now you've inspired everyone here, campers and staff alike, but you run off and work out alone. She paused for a moment, then said, I know what people here think of me. I've heard all the nicknames. But to me, this is just a job. My role is to help people find the motivation to change their health and weight. Nothing more, nothing less. I push them, set an example, and some of them get it, some don't. It's never personal, until now. Somewhere over the last few months, you became more than just a job to me. That's why I snapped at you when I saw that bar coming down on you. It scared the hell out of me. I thought you might get seriously hurt, or worse. And part of me wondered if you wanted that. I looked at her, stunned. Without thinking, I reached out and hugged her. She seemed like she needed to get things off her chest, so I just let her talk. She opened up about her life, and it was nothing like I had imagined. She'd started in gymnastics, but her body didn't fit the mold. She wasn't the short, muscular type, and injuries became frequent. Other girls took drugs to delay puberty, avoiding breast development and widening hips. She didn't, and as a result, she fell behind. After spinning her wheels for a while, she quit, which was devastating. Then she moved into fitness competitions. The focus was more on grace and femininity than outright muscle, and she did well. But once again, the drugs and the corruption in the industry surfaced. In many cases, winning wasn't just about performance. It was about offering certain favors to the sponsors and judges. She had men ogling her constantly, and it was practically expected. After a near-rape incident where she was only saved by her screams attracting the security team, she walked away from it all. Eventually, she went back to school, earned degrees in exercise physiology and kinesiology, and became a personal trainer. She'd been working at the camp for the past 6 years. After hearing her story, I felt closer to her than I had to anyone in a long time. So, I told her my reason for coming to the camp, my wife, Talia. I explained that Talia had been embarrassed by me and wanted me out of the way so she could cheat on me with someone in better shape. Well, she's not going to be embarrassed by you anymore, Eva said. The next time she sees you, she'll be all over you. I shook my head. No, the next time she sees me will probably be in divorce court. I had to admit, Talia had been right about one thing. I'd let myself go. She had every reason to want me to get back into shape. But the way she went about it, the things she said behind my back, they hurt too much. It made me question if she ever truly cared. The cheating? That was the final straw. I might have been able to forgive the other things eventually, but I could never trust her again. That night changed a lot for me. From then on, I continued doing Eva's class every day, but she pushed me harder than ever. The guys in the class were green with envy when I did push-ups with Eva lying on my back. She even joined me on some of my nighttime runs. Nothing ever crossed the line into romance, but there were moments when she looked at me in a way that sent a tingle down my spine. Meanwhile, things at home were getting worse. According to the PI, Talia had ended her affair with the guy. Apparently, he'd only been in it for the sex. He'd been practically living at my house several days a week, and even his wife had started complaining. Things got ugly between them, and when the excitement and dirtiness wore off, Talia tried to break it off. He didn't want to let her go, and they argued. After that, Talia began calling me more often, leaving messages about how much she missed me and loved me. With the camp closing for a month at the end of the season, I knew I'd have to go home soon. Eva and I went shopping because I needed a new wardrobe. Having lost nearly 140 pounds, nothing I owned fit anymore. While we were out, I spotted something I'd always wanted but never thought I could have, a bright red 2009 Mustang GT in a lot across from the mall. I went over to check it out. The door was open, so I slid into the driver's seat. The shock hit me. I fit. Over 100 pounds ago, I could barely squeeze into my old car, and now I could get in and out of a Mustang with ease. I found a salesman, ran my credit, and arranged the purchase. Within an hour, I was driving off the lot with my new toy. Eva followed me back to camp in her Jeep. I made a few phone calls to my PI, my lawyer, informing them of the upcoming ceremony and asking them to ensure the divorce papers were ready. I also asked for them to be delivered to me by a messenger. Then I called Talia. I told her the camp was ending that weekend and there would be a ceremony for the families of the campers. She sounded excited to see me again, but I warned her, "Don't get too excited. This might not be a happy occasion for you." She responded, "Nolan, I've realized over these last few months that looks aren't everything. It's about being with someone who loves and supports you, no matter their size or appearance. Even if you've only lost 1 pound, it's time for you to come home so we can move on with our lives. I love you and miss you. I've had a lot of time to think about what I really need, and I miss my big, strong teddy bear of a husband." I ended the call without revealing that I knew about her affair. She was acting like everything was normal, and for now, I played along. Over the next few days, I made several decisions to change my life and my career, though I kept some of these plans secret, even from Eva. As the ceremony approached, Eva seemed to grow needier, a little clingier. The night before the event, we had dinner so I could thank her for everything she'd done. At one point, she held my hand as we talked. "So, I guess this is it," she said quietly. "Your wife will be at the ceremony, and you'll go back to Ohio. Either you'll put her in her place, or you'll divorce her." "Yes," I replied simply, my mind elsewhere. We drove back to camp in silence. There was a lot left unsaid between us, but I was too preoccupied to notice the sadness in her voice. Eventually, she spoke again. "Nolan, I know you've been too honorable to even think about starting a relationship while you're still married, but have you decided whether or not you'll take her back? Is there a chance someone might send me a plane ticket to Ohio one day?" I looked at her, and in the spirit of our honesty, I said, "Eva, I have deep feelings for you, and I'm not going to start lying now. I don't know if there will be a plane ticket to Ohio or anywhere else, but that's not a bad idea." She nodded, and I didn't see her again until the ceremony the next day. It felt strange that morning. I woke up early, laced up my shoes, and headed out for a run by myself. While most of the other campers had finished their months of workouts and dieting, running had become a part of me. Just because I didn't have to do it didn't mean I was going to skip it. After the run, I went looking for Eva, but she was nowhere to be found. A few staff members told me she wasn't feeling well and had holed up in her living quarters. At the same time, I heard that Talia was frantically searching the camp, trying to find me. Feeling a bit mischievous, I went down to the auditorium where the ceremony was being held, just to see if I could spot her. I passed right by her, and she didn't even recognize me. I made sure the messenger was in place and gave him a quick heads up. We agreed that he'd be ready when I gave him the signal. Once the ceremony started, everyone took their seats in the auditorium. I got an unexpected bonus. I saw Eva standing not far from Talia, giving me a chance to compare the two side by side. It was like comparing apples and oranges. Talia, with her short blonde hair and tall, slim figure, was pretty, but nowhere near as fit as Eva. Eva had this breathtaking beauty, despite being shorter. As Eva chatted with someone, apparently about me, Talia overheard and had a bit of a meltdown. She stormed away from the table, sat down, and when she noticed me looking at her, I smiled. She quickly turned her head, probably thinking I was some random guy trying to flirt with her. I laughed to myself. For months, she'd been sleeping with her old married college buddy Dane, taking him into my house, into my bed, and now she was too pure to deal with a stranger's smile. The irony wasn't lost on me. Throughout the ceremony, I could feel Talia's eyes on me every time my name was mentioned. She kept trying to figure out who I was. Finally, I was called up to the stage to receive my awards. First, I was recognized for the most pounds lost in a single month. Then, I was awarded for the largest overall weight loss. The last award was the most meaningful, most inspirational camper. It was given to someone who not only transformed their body, but their life, inspiring others in the process. As I stood there, looking out over the audience, I noticed Talia perched on the edge of her seat, her mouth practically hanging open. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Her overweight husband was no more. I was asked to say a few words, so I talked about my journey and what had motivated me to make the changes I had. I also took the opportunity to thank Eva and invited her up on stage. I wanted everyone to see the person who had helped me through it all. As she walked past Talia, I saw the look on her face. If looks could kill, Eva wouldn't have made it to the stage. Eva joined me, and we hugged for a few photos. Afterward, the director said a few final words, and everyone headed out for dinner. As the room cleared, Talia came charging toward me and Eva, her face red with anger. "So this is why you wanted to stay here so long," she snapped. "You just wanted to mess around with this woman while I waited for you at home." I stayed calm. "Talia, Eva and I are friends. That's it. So before you make a fool of yourself, you should stop." Her tone immediately softened. "I'm sorry, baby. You just look so good now. You're so slim, so different. I got jealous. I've been alone in that house for so long, lonely, waiting for you. I can't wait to get home and, well, try out the new you." I raised an eyebrow. "So you've been alone and lonely?" She nodded enthusiastically. I pulled out my phone and showed her a photo of her and Dane at a restaurant. "Then who's this?" Her face paled. "Oh, him? He's just an old college friend. He's nothing." I felt my anger rising. "He's not nothing. He's the reason we're getting a divorce, Talia. I know everything. You started up with him before I even left for camp. I know that being with him was your real reason for sending me here. You couldn't stand to be seen with your fat husband anymore. But more than that, you wanted someone who could satisfy you physically. I've got it all on record, so don't even try lying. And yes, I have pictures of you taking him into our house, into my bed." There's really nothing left to say. I turned and gave the signal to the messenger, who quickly stepped forward and handed her the divorce papers. Talia's voice cracked as she pleaded, "Nolan, we can talk this through. It's over. It was just a fling, a mistake. I ended it because I missed you. I love you, and we have so much in common. The only thing I didn't like was your weight, but that's gone now." I looked at her calmly. "Well, Talia, I guess we both came to some realizations. After I found out about your affair, I realized I didn't want to be married to someone who was embarrassed by me. The excitement of being married to you died when I heard the awful things you said about me. You're right, though. We do have something in common. You were ashamed of being seen with a fat guy, so you sent me away. I'm ashamed to be married to a cheater, so we're done." She tried again. "We can fix this. Just come home, we'll talk, we'll go to counseling. We have too much history to throw it away." I shook my head. "It's already settled, Talia. We live in a no-fault state. The judge will split everything 50-50ths. We have no kids, so there's nothing to fight over. Our home is 70% of our net worth, and I'm leaving it to you. That's more than what the court would have given you. So just walk away, and we'll both be better off. At least you'll have a home. I'm currently homeless." Tears welled up in her eyes. "But where will you live? Why don't you stay with me? Let me make it up to you." I shook my head again. "You haven't cared about me since you started that affair, so I don't know why you suddenly care now. But I won't stay in that house with you. That's why I'm giving it to you. I'm starting over with someone who won't be ashamed of me. I may have lost 140 pounds, but you've lost a husband who would have loved you forever, and a life we could have had together. My weight was just an excuse for your affair, so if anyone hears the real champ, it's you." With that, I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there. The only contact I had with her after that was through our lawyers until the divorce was finalized. I did get a call from her father, asking if I'd consider clearing the air. I told him the details of what she'd done, even offered to send proof, pictures, audio, and video. He wished me well after that, and I took his advice. The divorce went smoothly. Talia didn't cause any problems, and we finalized everything without much fuss. We keep in touch occasionally, but it's nothing serious. Eva and I eventually acted on our feelings, and we became a couple. Life has been great. My family, friends, and colleagues were stunned by the transformation in both my body and my life. They all adore Eva, and they remind me often that I made the right choice. As for Talia, she sold the house and moved in with her parents. She found another man, and from what I hear, she's been putting on the pounds. I even sent her a brochure for the boot camp I went to, genuinely wanting to help. I wasn't trying to be petty. I even offered to pay for it. After all, if she hadn't been so embarrassed by me, I never would have met Eva. She declined, though. In the end, I think everyone's happy in their own way.
Have a great day.